Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Robbie Crager, the Flip Flop Flipper, and I'm here with Irving Cortez. I just met Irving, but we're becoming fast friends, and he just put on an amazing conference on the island of Puerto Rico, so we've got a lot to talk about. He's an entrepreneur, a real estate investor, and just an all-around great guy. Irving, welcome to the channel, man.
Thank you, Robbie. Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself to the guys out here, and let's get into your story a little bit.
Like you said, I'm Irving Cortez, kind of serial entrepreneur at this point, soon to be retired military. And like Robbie said, here on the island of Puerto Rico, just looking to do some awesome stuff.
I like, having gotten to know you a little bit over the weekend only, hearing your story, and you are a serial entrepreneur, but you also have a real job, and you're in the military, and you're buying real estate, and you're running businesses, and you're starting businesses with your wife. And talk to us about that. How do you get into that mindset that you can do so much, even to the point of putting on a real estate conference with Jerry Norton as like the headline speaker and some other great speakers, and you haven't been doing this, like, you're not 1,000 properties into it. You're not a multi-millionaire, I don't think.
Right.
Maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're definitely not wrong. I'm on my way, but I'm not there yet.
I believe you're definitely on your way. I think the point and what I'm trying to get at is that this life is available to anybody.
Right.
You don't have to have a silver spoon in your mouth. And I say that silver spoon a lot because we see it in the comments. Oh, you can't be a real estate investor today unless you were born rich, right?
Right.
I didn't have that story. I don't think you have that story.
Definitely not.
And so I think it's encouraging when people can hear a regular real life guy tell his story. So could you dive in with that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, career military. I've been in the Army for almost 24 years now. And so many times over the years, I've seen coworkers or former coworkers talking about all of the things that they were going to do when they retired and, all of these plans, but they never actually did anything. They never took action. Right. And so many times I saw them come right back to where we were working as green suiters, right? As soldiers. They retire one day and like a week later, they're right back in civilian clothes as Mr. Whatever, doing the same thing that they were doing in the military. Yeah. After they're, like I said, talked about all these plans and all of these things that they were going to do. And, so many times I said to myself, I'm like, that is not going to be me.
Nice.
I'm not going to be here. I'm so looking forward to doing other things with my life, right? There's so many things that I'm passionate about. There's so many things that I want to do that I haven't been able to do, because the military, there's certain things that you can and cannot do.
There's a lot of structure in
right,
your job.
Exactly. There's a lot of
structure.
There's some restrictions.
Than maybe even most employees out there, right? Like you have real.
So I said to myself for years, I'm not going to work for anybody ever again after I retire from the military. That'll be the last job that I ever have. I enlisted when I was 17. I'll be 41 when I retire. Wow. And I'll never work for anyone ever again.
Yeah. And that sets you up for a nice life anyway, right? Like, so you've got a good life from the U.S. military, and
I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah.
I don't regret it at all. I mean, I've enjoyed my time in the military. It's provided, a good life for me and my family. But like I said, there's just other things that I'm passionate about that I'm looking forward to that, I want to dedicate my time to. And
so you didn't wait though either.
No.
Like you're not waiting to start these other things that you want to do. You're passionate about stuff, and so you just jump with both feet.
Absolutely.
And started buying real estate and started running and managing and opening and starting businesses, right?
Yep.
So what got you this entrepreneurial mindset? Were you born that way? Was your father that way? How do you get there?
I think I got it from my grandfather.
Okay.
My father, very hardworking guy, but he was, or still is, even though he's retired now, he's of the mindset of, you get into a job, a career, you work hard for 20, 25 years, you earn a pension, and then you retire. That's the way he is, that middle class, hardworking, head down kind of guy. And my mom's the same way, just a hardworking woman. She still works now. She's, getting ready to retire in a couple years. But my grandfather was very much that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not, with us anymore. He passed away too young. But he was always looking for opportunities. He would find a property, he would buy it, he would sell it, and people were like, "What are you buying that piece of land in the middle?" Actually, he bought a piece of land in the middle of Florida. My grandmother was like, "What are you doing that for?" He's like, "No, that's it right there. It's a good opportunity. Watch this."
Yeah.
And he had some businesses that he bought and sold. Small, like lower level kind of things. But he was just a very loving person, the kind of person that you would want to talk to for hours.
Right.
person that you could really connect with, that, you know, and do business with.
Yeah.
You know, anybody could talk to him, and people love talking to him.
I love that you talk to him about that way. I find that people with that entrepreneurial drive and spirit are often what you would call givers, or like,
Right.
they tend to be people that you do want to be around and that you want to talk to, because they're going to bring value. I mean, so you had like JC Morales at your
Right.
event this weekend, and that guy's like the most hospitable guy on the
Absolutely.
planet, and he's running hotels, and like, God has a calling for us all.
For
and
sure.
I think this entrepreneurial spirit that lives inside some of us, it's a true driver, right? Like, so I just love to hear that when you speak with a lot of pride about your grandfather.
Yeah.
So that's great that you
Yeah.
get to live on, or his spirit lives on in you. So that
Definitely.
very good. That's cool.
It was definitely a blessing, like you said, with not just JC, but, you know, you and Sam Singh and Pedro and all of the other speakers. You know, my wife and her team from Finish Line.
They knocked it out of the park. They were great.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't say that just because she's my wife, but
Yeah, but even their whole panel, like each one of them had something to say. They were all interesting.
Right.
I had no idea what a transaction coordinator was before they spoke, or that I needed one, and now I know.
Now, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I think that's an amazing thing that you bring up, because, I mean, how many years have you been doing real estate? Probably
26
20
years,
something years.
thousands of deals.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's a beautiful thing. Number one, to be vulnerable enough to say, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that I needed it.
They kept saying TC, and I finally said, "What's TC?" Transaction coordinator. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think that's something that can be super encouraging for people that are starting out, right? You talked about people like you and I that came up not having a silver spoon in their mouth. And I think there's too many people that have that feeling like, well, I can't do that because I don't know how to do it. Nobody has taught me. Nobody in my family has done that. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that.
Yeah.
They come up with so many excuses, right?
Yeah.
And that right there just goes to show you that, you're never going to know everything.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no better time than now to get started in doing whatever it is that you put your mind to.
Yeah, I love that. So there's no better time than now to get started. You started your next thing, or your 3 next things, while you're still doing your first thing.
Right.
I mean, that's absolutely right, though. And that's what the heart of this channel is at, right?
Right.
Like, so I think that many of the systems that we have are broken. Like the educational system is broken. Our taxation system is broken. Our government is broken. You can go through a whole list of things that people get trapped in.
Right.
And they believe that because their mother did it, their father did it, that this is the way that you have to do it.
Right.
And it keeps you stuck. We live in the United States of America, so it's not like if you're middle class, that's a bad thing.
Right.
It's not. It's a really good thing. We're lower middle class is more wealthy than 90% of the rest of the world, right?
Yep.
But these systems keep us stuck in what we call the matrix, or the rat race.
Right.
And stepping out of that and becoming an entrepreneur can give you eventually some freedom, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot of work that goes into it and all
Yep.
of that. But I loved your conference that you put on. And, I go to those things, having done this for 26 years, looking for one thing that I can take away from it that's going to affect me positively moving forward.
Right.
So for me, transaction coordinators was one. And then Sam, when I saw him talk, I was like, well, that's why I'm here.
You're right.
I came to hear that,
Sam's a rock star, for
yeah,
sure.
and he was just completely low key. And,
Yep.
and I had met him before and given him a ride, and he's like, you don't remember that you gave me a ride? And I'm like,
He actually told me that story.
Yeah,
He
I
was
was
like,
like-
man, he saved me.
I'm like, I remember you, but I didn't know you were like that,
Right.
up on the stage, killing it.
He's such a humble guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you didn't know that he was, such a rock star entrepreneur, that he was so intelligent, if you just met him in an airport and were just chit chatting,
Yeah.
you would never know that he was so successful. You know.
And I watched him after, because I wanted to talk to him. So I sat there and I watched him, just hold court with the whole line full of the
Yeah.
room. And everyone who asked him a question, he just lived into, how can I serve? How can
100%.
I give? It was pretty special to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, back to that entrepreneurial heart. That's where I believe entrepreneurs thrive, is when they're giving service and providing something of value to other people. So
And that, as somebody who's new in this space, right? Like you said, I haven't been doing this that long. I still consider myself a newbie. That is something that I have seen is a constant amongst the most successful people that I have gotten the opportunity to meet so far.
Yeah.
People like yourself, like Jerry, Pace, Morby, you know, guys like Sam and JC and Pedro, all of these guys, they're all go-givers. You know, they're also giving. They're all, you know, just very
I'm
humble.
gonna steal that, go-givers.
Well, I can't
like that.
I can't take credit for that. You know, that's something that I got from Pace. You know, he's
Okay.
the first person I've ever heard say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we're so used to hearing the term go-getters,
Yeah.
right? You know, and you know, they're go-givers. You know, they're so giving of their time and their energy, and like you said, exactly how you saw Sam there, you know, just going above and beyond, pouring out into other people with, you know, their experience and their knowledge, and just looking to help in any way that they can.
Yeah, even part of your wife's team, the big guy, I don't remember his name.
Jay.
But Jay
Yeah.
was standing there talking.
He's a great dude.
And he was just, I mean, just pouring into him, just
Yep.
like you said. So
Yep.
it was really special. What gave you the courage to be able to jump off in that way and go from a guy who's just starting out in real estate? And I'd really like to get back into your real estate origins in a minute, but I want to stay with this conference thing because we just had it, and it was I mean, I really believe you guys provided the value, knocked it out of the park. How did you do that? How did you get the courage to do that? How do you land Jerry Norton as your headline speaker? Yeah, I got a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, no, and they're great questions. I'll be honest. Sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, how did I get here? Like, this is nuts, you know? And I don't know if you were in the room when I was giving the introduction when Jerry was about to speak, but when I started learning about real estate just a little over a year and a half ago, that's how I learned, was watching Jerry's videos on YouTube.
I
You
think
know,
thousands
so
of people could say that,
right. And so to me, it's, you know, I think about it every day. I'm like, man, this is crazy that he's the guy that I started learning from. You know, initially when you see people as successful as him on platforms like YouTube or whatever social media platform you may be on, a lot of times it feels like they're so far removed and they're so, you know, untouchable from where you are.
Yeah.
You know, and when you think about it in the overall grand scheme of things, a year and a half is not that much time. You know, and I'm like, now he's speaking at an event that, you know, I put together, you know, so it was definitely, you know, amazing to me and such a blessing to be able to do that. But, you know, to answer your question as far as like where the courage from, you know, to do that came from, I think that's just something that's in me. You know, I'm not afraid to take chances. I'm not afraid to try something new, to do something new. When I see something that I want, when I have an idea, I get after it. And that's it. You know, it was about a year ago, the first time that I actually met Pace for the first time.
Okay.
And so
Here
it
on
was
the island?
No, it was actually at a meetup in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
It was like the spring of last year, maybe. And so, you know, I'm in his mentorship program, and I had this idea before I met him that I wanted to start the regional accountability group within the Sub-2 mentorship for Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
There are regional accountability groups all around the country, but there wasn't one for Puerto Rico, and I saw a need, right? I noticed that there were a lot of people that were either investing on the island or interested in investing on the island, whether they live here in Puerto Rico or they live stateside, and they didn't have that community like the rest of Sub-2 has, which is, to me, the biggest value. Right. I didn't really see that here in Puerto Rico. And I noticed that there were people like Pedro, like JC, like yourself, that had figured out certain things, right? That had cornered certain aspects of the market. And we know that there's some very unique challenges here. So in my mind, I was like, well, if we can get all of these people together to share in their knowledge and their experience and be those types of go-givers and help each other, right, then we're all going to win.
Right.
You know, so when I had that opportunity to meet Pace, you know, me and my wife, we waited in line probably like 45 minutes or something like that to talk to him and take a picture. And I had been telling her, you know, like the 2-hour drive down to Newark from Connecticut, I was like, hey, when we get to meet Pace, I know I'm going to have at least a couple of minutes to talk to him. I'm spitting my idea to him. I'm going to pitch it real quick. I'm going to give him my elevator pitch and we'll see what happens. That's exactly how it happened. I was like, hey, man, I have an idea. I'm like, I want to start the regional accountability group for Puerto Rico. You know, just tell me yes, and I'll run with it. I'll make it happen.
And if I've only met Pace a few times, but I'm certain that he said, let's do it.
Pretty much. It was, I mean, you know, he's high energy. So it was a lot more, you know, energetic than that. He was like, yo, I like that idea. He was like, put my number in your phone, text me that picture we just took and text me Tuesday morning. We'll figure out how to make this happen.
Yeah.
Took a couple months. We ran from there, made it happen. We had the first meetup, first sub-2 meetup here in Puerto Rico last summer. We had Pace, Jerry, Vinajetti.
I went to that meetup.
Yeah. You were there. We were at Echo Sports Park.
Yep.
And then, from there, we were just looking to do more, right? Because there's only so much that you can get from a meetup.
So do you have to be a member of the sub-2 community in order to come to the sub-2 groups on the island of Puerto Rico, or is it more broad-based than that to be able to come to your meetups and stuff here on the island?
Yeah, I mean, it's open to anybody.
Okay.
Obviously, we are, like I said, sub-2 community is a community of go-givers, and that's what PACE teaches, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not looking to be this exclusive group that can only be accessible to, people that are within the program.
Mm-hmm.
So we open our doors to anybody that is looking to do deals on the island, and they're more than welcome to tap in and join our events. I mean, we have an Instagram page. It's at sub2 Boriqueng.
Okay.
We have our, our page on Eventbrite. We put our events on there when we're looking to plan meetups and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's open to anybody.
Make sure you share with Adon any of the links that you want. We'll put them in the description.
For sure.
And you guys got to go check them out. Check out the sub-2 groups here on the island of Puerto Rico, and just get a hold of them. You have a Facebook page too,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So we'll follow that. So are you mainly a sub-2 buyer? Is that how you started going back to your real estate origins now, right? So I understand you're in the sub-2 group, but is that how you buy all of your real estate? How many real estate deals have you done even?
Yeah. So right now I have 13 doors that we acquired, mostly sub-2. Not all of them were.
Okay.
We did one with hard money, and then the other one was with a financial partner who he brought all the cash.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the rest of them were sub-2 deals.
Having partners with money.
Yeah.
Like we've used that since this 2008 crisis when everybody sort of went broke, and we were a part of the going broke crowd. We came back and were very anti-debt for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I partnered with people who had money, and we've been able to do incredible things with those types of partnerships. I say that because there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Absolutely.
To be a real estate investor, you don't have to have money. You can partner with people who do. Or you don't have to have friends or partners with money. You can buy a house sub-2.
Absolutely.
And there are deals out there for just about anybody. So real estate's just this magical investment class where you can easily leverage it, and you can leverage relationships. I mean, there's so many ways to be successful in it. So I love, and going back on what you said earlier, this I can't mindset, if you can just shift that to how can I, and that's a big thing that we talk about on the channel is, how instead of, even with Anon and I, we talk sometimes, and it's inevitable that you, no matter how long you've been doing it, you'll start to think, well, I don't have this to do that. And then one or the other of us will say, well, wait a second, how can we do that, right?
Right.
And that's just that simple little twist of words from I don't have or I can't to how can I. It's powerful stuff.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. Yeah, and anyone can do it.
For sure.
So talk more about your real estate portfolio.
Yeah. So I have, there's 7 doors in Connecticut. We have 2 single-family homes in Virginia, and then we have a duplex here in Puerto Rico.
Okay. Where's that?
It's in Bayamon.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice. And just long-term rents there.
Yes.
Did you buy that sub-2?
We did.
On the island of Puerto Rico?
Yes.
See, now people would say all the time, oh, you can't do that.
It's
Puerto
illegal,
Rico.
right?
It's illegal,
It's illegal everywhere.
No one will do it here.
You can't do sub-2.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do wholesaling.
Right.
There's so many things that people believe you can't do.
Right.
And they especially like to assign the I can't do it in the island of Puerto Rico, or an even worse one is the local population believing that there are some things that people that look like me can do that people that are from the island can't do. And really the truth is that that's not true, right? Like anyone, that all of these ways of being in business are open to anybody.
Yeah. And you bring up an interesting point. You mentioned people talking about people that look like you can't do deals here, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I hear it from both sides of the coin, where a lot of times also, people who are native to the island, they're like, oh, well, all of the incentives are for, people that are coming from the mainland, and, we're getting pushed out and there's no opportunity. There's opportunity for everybody everywhere.
I've never seen more opportunity in any place that I've ever been in my life. And I've been nothing except an entrepreneur and real estate investor for basically, my whole life, 26 years, going on 27 years. This place is special. This place has more talent, more opportunity, more money coming to the island. There's so much here that's at anyone's fingertips. Like if you've got even a half-assed vision of how something should work and the courage to go do it, it's going to work here. And people are going to support you. It's an amazing time to be in Puerto Rico. I'll get in trouble for saying that, and I have before, but that's my heart. That's what I believe. I think I've just never seen anything like it. I've been here for 6 years now, and I've watched the island. I've watched from when I first got here when people didn't have jobs and they were leaving the island. And now anyone who wants work can have work. And I see people coming back to the island. I see families like yours that have ties to the island where have you ever lived on the island before?
Born and raised in Connecticut. Never
You
lived a day in my life
island,
in Puerto
but
Rico.
You've never lived on the island, and you're coming to the island, right? So we see that a lot. And your wife has ties to the island as well. And to me, that's amazing. That's like when we're inviting people to come to the island of Puerto Rico to do deals with us, we're talking to people who have ties to the island, right? I'm not just broadcasting to like the world to say, "Hey, gringo, come over here." It's like, guys, if you have ties to the island and you love the island, maybe you left for opportunities years ago and you don't even realize that right now is just this amazing time in space. People will look back at Puerto Rico from like 2020. Maybe it's COVID. From COVID through maybe a 10 or 15 year window, there are going to be people that change the world that are here on the island right now. And they're going to change the island too.
Absolutely.
So it's a very cool time to be here.
Yeah. And I will say, you probably don't hear this often if you've ever heard it, but let me tell you that I appreciate what you're doing here in Puerto Rico. And I thank you because there are, not a whole lot of people, like you said, taking advantage of the opportunities that are here. And too often people think that investors like yourself and I that are looking to do deals on the island, that we're just coming here to rape and pillage, right? They think that we're just coming here to push people out, to take advantage of, the resources and the beauty here and whatever there is here for opportunity. But what they don't realize is that you're affecting communities. You're beautifying neighborhoods. You're adding value to neighborhoods. You're making these places that are oftentimes not entire neighborhoods, but certain properties, right? They're abandoned, for whatever reason. And we've heard a million and one stories why that happens, right? But it's a great thing, and it's very much needed. So
I really
appreciate that.
That's very kind of you to say. So that's great.
I mean, I guess the overarching message that I could just tell people is, don't be afraid to take a leap. Don't be afraid to try something new, to go out on a limb. I will say, if you're going to do something different, if you're going to do something new, look for somebody within that space that's doing it and that's successful. Seek mentorship, right? That was something that was super important to me and my wife when we decided to jump in, which is why we jumped into PACE's program.
Right.
We had several failed businesses in the past that we had tried. We were talking about it before we jumped on here. A trucking company, fitness apparel company. And we were just trying to figure it out on our own as we went along, because we had some motivation, we had some vision, but we didn't have the guidance and we didn't have the experience to really make those businesses successful. So to me, that's huge, and I would recommend that to anybody.
That's amazing. So you started some businesses.
Yes.
And got the entrepreneurial bug. It doesn't necessarily go well. I'm assuming you didn't become a multimillionaire.
Did not.
And you had some hiccups.
Probably
along
lost
the way.
some money along the way.
Maybe you lose some money here and there. Once you start down this road, though, I'm telling you guys, it will change you. It makes something of you, and you don't even realize it's happening. And then you look back in time a few years and you go, man, remember when we started that apparel company and that didn't go well and that led to this, and then we got into the Pace Morby, and now we're doing these things. It's a different way to think and be, and I believe it takes people into a next level, right? Like, so we get to step out of these broken systems, and you're still going to have all the hardship, right? You're still going to have problems. People are going to get sick. People are going to die, but businesses are going to fail. But that's okay. You're going to keep going, and that's what entrepreneurs do. So
absolutely,
that's awesome. I love hearing that story and sitting down and getting to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. And I hope that we can do this a whole bunch more. I
sure.
look forward to the next Creative Investor Network, and maybe you could tell us when that is planned for. How long will you wait before you do it? Are you going to go a whole year?
Not sure yet.
Not
Stay
sure yet.
tuned.
Stay tuned. All right.
Yeah, Creative Investors Network. On Facebook, it's just my name, Irving Cortez. On Instagram, my personal one is the Irving Cortez. And then you can follow the Sub 2 Botiquín page at Sub 2 Botiquín. And then there's the Creative Investors Network. It's at Creative Investors Network or at Creative Investors Network. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Give the video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit Irvin up if you want to be part of the Sub 2 group on the island of Puerto Rico, or just reach out to him. He's got a wealth of knowledge. So thanks for watching. God bless.